There was a time when the earth itself seemed to breathe, vast plains stretching endlessly, forests whispering with life, and glaciers crawling like ancient beasts across the northern lands. Our ancestors stood small against this colossal world. Yet their courage, their curiosity, and their will to survive would carry them farther than any creature had ever ventured. This is the story of migration, of leaving the familiar behind to chase survival, hope, and the promise of a new horizon. It is a story not only of footsteps on soil, but of transformation, of humanity in motion. The world was changing. The climate that once nurtured life was shifting. Ice sheets advanced and retreated, rivers dried or swelled with glacial melt, and the herds that sustained early humans began to wander. Food became scarce, and the instincts that had guided our ancestors for generations whispered one command: move. The first migrations were not journeys of conquest, but of necessity, quiet steps taken by families who followed the tracks of animals, the smell of rain, and the warmth of the sun. They carried little with them: tools chipped from stone, fire carefully guarded in woven nests of bark, and the memories of the places they called home. Their paths were marked by survival footprints pressed into wet soil, abandoned campsites, and the ashes of fires long gone cold. Each migration was both an ending and a beginning. The land behind them faded into memory, and the land ahead was an unknown promise. Through endless plains they walked, following the herds of bison and mammoths. Across deserts that stretched to the horizon, they endured thirst and hunger. Through dense jungles, alive with unseen predators, they listened to every sound, every whisper of leaves, every movement in the dark. The journey was not only physical but spiritual, a test of will that would forge new forms of unity and identity. In migration, the early humans learned that to move together was to survive together. As they traveled, they encountered landscapes unlike any they had known. Some found wide grasslands, rich with life. Others found frozen tundras where the wind cut like stone. The adaptability of humankind became its greatest weapon. They learned to hunt new animals, to build shelters from what the new lands offered, and to speak new words born from new experiences. Migration was the forge where innovation was born. Every challenge met with an idea. Every failure a lesson for the next generation. Sometimes they would reach a place so vast and beautiful that they would stop and believe they had found their final home. Rivers that glimmered under the sun, valleys where fruit grew wild, or coasts where the ocean's rhythm felt eternal. For a moment they would rest, but rest never lasted long. Nature would change again, and they would move once more, driven by that same ancestral pulse, the eternal whisper to keep walking forward. The great migrations were not just movements of bodies, but of minds and cultures. As tribes separated and wandered in different directions, they evolved distinct traditions, languages, and beliefs. Yet, across distances and generations, a silent thread connected them: the memory of having once walked the same earth, faced the same storms, and shared the same fire. This shared past became the seed of empathy, a recognition that no matter how different they became, they were all born of the same journey. Migration also brought encounter, sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent. When groups met in the wild, the outcomes were unpredictable. Some exchanged tools, stories, or mates, blending cultures and bloodlines. Others fought over land, water, or the fear of strangers. Conflict was as much a part of human movement as discovery. But even through struggle, humanity learned. Each encounter forced adaptation: to fight, to negotiate, or to coexist. Migration was the teacher that shaped both our diversity and our resilience. And so, as generations passed, the web of human presence spread across the globe. From Africa, the cradle of all journeys, they reached the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and beyond. Some followed coastlines, crafting canoes and learning to fish in deep waters. Others crossed mountains and tundra, guided only by stars and instinct. With every new territory explored, they carried with them not just survival, but stories. Stories that became myths, and myths that became the roots of civilization. Imagine one of those small groups arriving at a place where no human had ever stood before. The air smells different, the stars shine in unfamiliar patterns. The sound of waves or wind feels both alien and sacred. They look at one another and realize that they have become the first people of a new world. In that moment, fear and awe blend into a single emotion: belonging. Migration, after all, was not just an escape from the past, but a reaching toward the future. Through these journeys, early humans began to understand the planet itself. They learned the rhythm of seasons, the paths of animals, and the cycles of the moon. They learned which plants healed and which poisoned, which stones sparked fire, and which waters ran pure. Each discovery was carved into memory and passed on through generations around the fire, a living archive of human endurance. Migration was not just movement, it was the first education, the foundation of knowledge that would one day lead to science, art, and civilization. In the cold nights of the Ice Age, when the world seemed silent except for the howling of wind, small bands of humans gathered close to share warmth and hope. They told tales of the lands they had crossed, of beasts they had hunted, and of friends lost to the journey. These stories became the first history-spoken words that carried meaning beyond survival. Migration gave birth to narrative itself, the desire to remember and to be remembered, and as they spread farther, their connection to nature deepened. They began to paint on the walls of caves, to carve symbols into bone and wood, marks that told where they had come from and what they had seen. The art of the nomad became the first expression of human identity, a way to leave behind a piece of themselves even as they moved onward. Every mark was a declaration. We were here, we lived, we endured. But migration was never easy. Many perished on the way, swallowed by deserts, lost in snow, or struck by disease. Yet, for every life lost, another was born under a new sky. Hope always outweighed despair. Each step taken by those early travelers paved the way for millions who would follow. Humanity was becoming a species of explorers, restless, imaginative, and unstoppable. The great migrations shaped not just where humans lived, but who they became. They taught cooperation, patience, and foresight. They demanded adaptability and inspired creativity. Migration was evolution in motion, the engine that transformed survival into civilization. Every road we travel today, every border we cross, echoes with the footsteps of those who walked first, guided only by courage and the will to endure. In the end, migration is not merely a chapter of prehistory. It is the essence of humanity itself. We are descendants of wanderers, born from the courage to step into the unknown. Our ancestors crossed rivers, deserts, and oceans not because they knew what lay ahead, but because something within them refused to remain still. That same impulse drives us still, the hunger to discover, to connect, to find new beginnings. As the stars once guided those first travelers, so to do they remind us of the long road behind us. Every modern city, every farm, every home stands on the ground once crossed by those ancient feet. Their courage is in our blood, their resilience in our hearts. To migrate was to live, and in their endless movement, humanity found its purpose. If you've walked this journey through time with us, remember that their story is also yours. We are the continuation of that great movement, each generation carrying the torch of exploration a little farther. Like them, we are travelers on this vast and changing earth, bound not by borders, but by curiosity and hope. So, if you felt the echo of their footsteps and the fire of their spirit, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts below. The story of humanity is far from over, and together we keep walking forward.